Down payment assistance, is it really free money? Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Josette Gamble. I am a local real estate agent right here in Tampa, Florida, and I enjoy turning renters into homeowners. Today, I want to talk about down payment assistance. I know this channel is geared towards first-time home buyers, and we talk a lot about down payment assistance. And I didn't want you to get the wrong idea about what down payment assistance actually is. So let's talk about it. Again, if you've not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that. Hit the notification bell so that you can know every time I upload a new video. So let's dig into what down payment assistance really is, how it works, and what you need to look out for. Down payment assistance, or DPA, is a program that is designed to help first-time home buyers. It covers the upfront cost that is needed to buy a home. So it covers things like down payment, closing costs, or both down payment and closing costs, depending on the amount of assistance that you're getting. There are different forms of down payment assistance. So they come in different forms. So you have grants. The grant is the rarest form, and it is closest to free money, if you want to say it like that. Then you have the forgivable loans that you don't have to pay them back if you meet certain conditions. And then there are deferred loans where no payment is needed while you live at the house, but there's still full repayment that is to be done later on. So that's why it says deferred. If you live in the home, after some time, when you pay off that first primary loan, then the second loan comes into play. And then you have the repayable loans. And repayable loans, probably these are the ones you really need to look out for, because they're just like a second mortgage. So you will probably have two separate payments that you have to make. So you're paying your mortgage, your original mortgage, and you're still paying that second mortgage. So let's break it down so you have a better idea of what the down payment and the different types of down payment really is. Let's talk about the grants. Grants, these are actually free and you don't have to pay them back. These are the ones that you really want to go after if you don't want to have to pay anything back in the long run. These are very rare and they're highly competitive, and they often have income and location restrictions. So when you're looking into grants, these are some of the things that you have to bear in mind. They're specific for certain areas, certain location, and certain income limits. Then you have the forgivable loans. You get a loan, but it is forgiven after a certain period of time. Usually 5 to 10 years. If you live in the house for 5 years, some programs. If you live in the house for 10 years, some programs. If you live in the house for 15 years, then the loan is forgiven. If you stay in the home and you meet all the program rules, then the loan is forgiven. But if you sell too early or you refinance too early, then you have to pay all of it back. Then you have number 3, the deferred loans. Now, this is the one most first-time home buyers really get into, because it will come into play. It is a second loan, but it comes into play after you have paid up your primary mortgage. So you don't make payments now, but the repayment kicks in later. So when you sell, when you refinance, or when you finish paying your first mortgage, then that second mortgage, just like I said, will come into play, and then you will have to start paying on that mortgage. Again, it is a loan, it is just delayed. You're not making 2 payments at one time. You're only gonna have one payment, which will be your original loan, and when that is done, completed, you pay off the house in 30 years, then the second loan comes into play, and now you're gonna start paying that loan. So hence, deferred for a later time. Then you have number 4, the repayable loans. Now these are structured like second mortgages, and you start paying them back monthly alongside of your regular mortgage. So if you can't afford 2 mortgages or 2 payments, you probably want to stay away from these types of down payment assistance, the repayable loan. They might have a low interest rate of 0% because most of the down payment assistance programs, most of the loans are 0% interest, but it's still a monthly bill, and that can be hard if you're really struggling already to make your mortgage payment. What's the catch? This is where most buyers get tripped up, right? They hear the word, or the words, because it's the words. They hear the words down payment, right? Or down payment help. And they just think, sweet, free money. But 90% of down payment programs are not grants. Grants are the only thing that are free money. That is free money, or unless you get in a gift from a family member, then that is free money. But they are loans with strings attached. Down payment help or down payment assistance are loans, most of them, 90% of them are loans with strings attached. And here's the fine print. So you have to look at that when you're looking into utilizing down payment assistance. So I'll go to say 30,000 down payment assistance, 75,000 down payment assistance. I just had a buyer that we closed on, and she got $85,000 in down payment assistance. These are not free money. They have to be repaid after a certain period of time, but it does help you get into a home. If you need to get in a home, it will help you with down payment, closing costs, and all of that. It makes it easier for you to get in the home. Let me just say it like that. But if you move out early, you might owe thousands of dollars. If you refinance too soon, you have to pay it back. If you rent out the house and you violate the agreement, that because down payment assistance is not for investment properties. I have so many people ask me that. Can I buy a house? No, you can't buy a house and rent it out. They're helping you to become a home owner, not a home investor, right? So you have to live in the house. I think if you buy one of those duplexes or triplex, or a property, multi-unit property that you can live in one and rent out the rest, that is a good idea, but you still have to live in it. So if you rent it out, let's say you rent out the house, you have a single family home, you rent that out and you move out, then that loan might just kick in and then you have to pay it. So these are some of the things to look out for. Most of them have deadlines. They have lots of paperwork that you have to go through, and you want to make sure that you're always reading the fine print before you just jump into using down payment assistance. So even with forgivable loans, the forgiveness is conditional. You have to live in the house for a certain period of time. You have to meet certain requirements. It's not just, hey, automatic. You need to follow the rules for years. And if you're not a rule follower, that might be an issue, okay? Let's say Maria, fictional name, let's say she uses a $10,000 loan that's forgiven in 5 years. And she moves out in 3 years. They're not gonna say, well, she moved out in 3 years, so she only have 2 years left, and then we're gonna adjust the loan as such. They don't. Even if you live 3 years in the home and it's for 5, if you don't live the whole 5 years, then you have to pay them back the full amount of whatever it is that they loaned you. Now, example number 2 for a deferred loan. Remember, the deferred loan is the loan that does not come into play until you have paid off your first mortgage, or you sell the property, or you refinance down. So let's say James gets like a $7,500, because they have this program, so you get $7,500 that would help you towards your closing costs / down payment. So let's say he gets $75,000. It's a deferred loan. No payment is required until he either sells or refinance, anything like that. But let's say 10 years into the property, he decides to sell. Then he has to pay back the $7,500 that was loaned to him. Same thing with repayable loans. If you get, let's say Tasha, I hope nobody's watching this Tasha, but let's say Tasha gets $15,000. Now in Hillsborough County, we have a lot of different programs. Right now there's one that's $30,000. In the city is 50, CRA another 50. There's a lot of down payment assistance. Just look into them, see which one fits you. But if you're doing the ones that are repayable, it's a second mortgage at 1%, because they're not all 0% interest. Most of them are. But let's say, for example, this one is a 1% interest. She has to budget for a second monthly payment. Again, think twice about this one. Most people I know do the deferred payment. You're either looking for a deferred loan, a forgivable loan, or grant. These are the three that I actually recommend. I don't recommend the repayable one, because the repayable one means you're making payment on your mortgage plus that extra loan. So that's that. Am I saying right now that down payment is bad? No, I'm an advocate for down payment assistance. I encourage people who need it. Keyword here, need. Right? I encourage people who need it to use it, right? So it's not bad. It's a tool. And if you know how to use the tool correctly, then it becomes beneficial for you. But if you don't know how to use it, then it becomes detrimental, right? So it is a great tool that can be used if you understand the terms of the loan that you're getting, if you plan to stay in the house long enough, because hey, if you're going to be there for 30 years and after 10 years that loan's going to fall out, why not? If you're going to live there for 30 years and after 30 years you're going to start paying on it, your payment on that loan will be a lot less than your original mortgage, right? So once you're done with the mortgage, people say, well, after I'm done with the mortgage, does that mean I have to think of paying? If you are done with the mortgage, let's say you finish your 30-year mortgage and you decide you want to sell your house, you can sell your house and all of that equity would be yours. All you have to pay is whatever it is, whatever amount of the loan that is left, right? So I think the deferred one is a good idea. The grants, go for grants as many as you can. Again, they're rare and far in between, and they're very competitive. So there's not a lot out there, but they are. So you have to do your own research and your homework to find out where they are and how you can utilize them. But so these three, deferred, forgivable, and grants, are my two goals. The repayable ones, I try to encourage my buyers, and I'm not an attorney, so I can't tell them what to do, but it is two bills. You don't want to have two mortgages at the same time. So if you know how to use the program, if you decide that you're going to be in the house long enough to make it worth your while, and you've done the math and you know what it's going to cost and you are in agreement with that, it's fine by you, it's good by you, hey, go for it, because right now, down payment assistance can be a great help for people that are having a little bit of an issue to come up with a down payment. Depending on the price of your house, down payment can be pretty steep. So if you're getting the money to help you with that, why not? And you can, you don't have to pay that back for 30 years. And some of them are, the great thing about it is that they're zero interest. Most of them are. And so it's not going to, increase or decrease in any way, unless you just start paying it back. Does that make sense? Right. So it's going to be dependent on you. So down payment assistance, again, most of them are not free money. It is a tool. And like many tools, it can be beneficial again if you use it wisely. You know how to use it, right? If you don't know how to use the thing, you're gonna mess it up. Here's some questions that I think you should ask your lender, and not just your lender, but whoever it is that you are working with, whoever it is that's working with the down payment assistance. These are some questions that I think you should ask before accepting down payment, right? Before you sign anything, ask. Number one, you want to know, is this a grant or is it a loan? That's going to make the difference. If it's a grant, you don't have to pay it back. If it's a loan, it's a loan. You have to pay it back. If it's a loan, when and how do you have to repay it? You want to know that before you sign any paperwork. You want to also ask, is this a forgivable loan? And if it is, what are the conditions to make sure that you're following the guidelines? You want to also ask, what happens if I move or refinance? The main thing, if you do these two things, it's going to come into play and you're going to have to pay it off. You're going to have to pay the full amount. The full amount comes due when those things happen. Will this affect your ability to build equity or to refinance your home later? You want to know the answer to these questions before you sign on the dotted line. Talk to your lender, read the terms, and don't just assume the money is yours. This is my money, the money is mine, no strings attached. Even though you get a reservation number, like somebody have a reservation number, they reserve this amount of money, it is a loan and it needs to be paid back. So make sure you're reading the fine print before you sign on the dotted line. Now to wrap this up again, if you've not followed me yet, go ahead and do that. Down payment assistance is not free money, and most of the time, but it still can be a smart move if you know what you're doing, you know how to utilize it, and you know how to make that money work for you. Yes, there are many different types of down payment out there, assistance out there, but you want to make sure you're getting the right one, and you want to make sure that what you're doing is helping you and not putting you in a greater bind. So, is down payment assistance really free money? Most of the time, no. But it can still be a smart move if you go in with your eyes open and you know what you're doing. If this helped you at all, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop your questions in the comments. Buying a home is a big deal. Let's make sure you do it the smart way. See you in the next one. Bye.